On the morning of August 27, 2025, the community of Minneapolis awoke to a horror that few could have ever imagined. It was the first week of school at Annunciation Catholic Church and School, a small but deeply rooted parish in southwest Minneapolis where families had gathered for generations. That Wednesday morning, children dressed in uniforms filed into the church sanctuary for Mass, accompanied by teachers and faculty. Parents lingered nearby, chatting with each other as the bells rang out, marking what should have been just another ordinary school day. Instead, it became one of the darkest mornings in Minnesota's history. At approximately 8:30 a.m., gunfire erupted, shattering the stained glass windows of the sanctuary and the sense of peace that had long defined the parish. Witnesses described the sounds of breaking glass and panicked screams echoing inside as chaos spread through the congregation. In the pews, children dove for cover, some hiding beneath wooden benches while others clung to one another in terror. When the shooting stopped, 2 young lives, children only 8 and 10 years old, were lost in the very place they had knelt in prayer moments earlier. 17 more people, including 14 children, were injured, some critically. Parents rushed toward the church doors, desperate to reach their children, while staff members acted quickly to lock classroom doors and shepherd students to safety. The gunman was soon identified as 23-year-old Robin M. Westman, a Minneapolis resident with no known criminal history. Born Robert Westman, he had transitioned in recent years and was still known to many in the community because of his family's ties to the church. His mother was a parish member, and some who grew up alongside him recalled that Annunciation had once been part of his childhood world. Investigators confirmed that Westman had acted alone and had come heavily armed that morning, carrying a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun. Each weapon, police later revealed, had been marked with disturbing phrases and slogans, referencing past killers, anti-Semitic slurs, and even political threats like, "Kill Donald Trump." Authorities described the arsenal as chilling, not only because of the firepower involved but because the weapons themselves had been turned into canvases of hate. What shocked many even further were the videos Westman uploaded to YouTube in the minutes before the attack. In one 11-minute clip, he could be seen manically giggling as he displayed the weapons to the camera. His voice wavered between excitement and eerie calm as he panned across firearms, showing messages scrawled across them like trophies. Another video displayed a red journal filled with handwritten notes. In its pages, Westman expressed admiration for previous mass shooters, particularly Adam Lanza, the young man responsible for the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. There were also sketches of the Annunciation Church layout, notes about entrances, and words suggesting careful preparation. In a chilling moment of foresight, Westman scrawled the phrase for the children across one of his guns, an ironic and horrifying twist considering the lives that would soon be taken. Authorities later revealed that the videos had been posted just minutes before the first shots rang out, as if Westman wanted to leave behind a legacy of terror. The content was quickly removed, but not before being flagged and archived by investigators. For the families of the victims, those images became unbearable evidence of the deliberate planning that went into the attack. As the shooting unfolded, police rushed to the scene. Inside the church, the sanctuary had turned into a nightmare. Broken glass glittered across the floor, pews were splintered, and blood stained the aisle where children had fallen. Teachers did their best to keep students calm, using whispered instructions to guide them towards safer areas. Emergency calls flooded 911 dispatchers as first responders raced through Minneapolis streets with sirens blaring. Within minutes, officers confronted the situation. But before they could make an arrest, Westman turned one of his guns on himself and ended his own life behind the church. His body was discovered in the parking lot, bringing the attack to a close but leaving devastation in its wake. By late morning, families had gathered at nearby hospitals, anxiously awaiting updates on loved ones. Some parents were reunited with their children, sobbing with relief. Others faced the unthinkable reality that their sons or daughters would never come home again. Community leaders described scenes of grief unlike anything they had witnessed before. Classmates clinging to each other, parents inconsolable, clergy praying aloud as doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to save lives. Officials moved quickly to reassure the public. Minneapolis police confirmed there was no ongoing threat, emphasizing that Westman had acted alone. Governor Tim Walz called the shooting a deliberate, premeditated act of violence, and he ordered flags across the state to be lowered to half-mast in honor of the victims. Vigils began springing up within hours. Outside Annunciation, the church steps became covered in flowers, candles, stuffed animals, and handwritten notes from strangers across the city. Clergy gathered with parishioners to offer comfort and prayer, trying to provide a sense of hope amid overwhelming loss. Investigators pieced together a picture of a troubled young man obsessed with mass violence. The Red Journal, combined with the videos, revealed not just planning but also a disturbing fixation on notoriety. His references to Adam Lanza and other shooters placed him in a grim lineage of individuals who sought infamy through acts of mass murder. Experts later noted how Westman's behavior reflected patterns seen in other cases. The stockpiling of weapons, the fascination with previous killers, and the decision to leave behind a manifesto of sorts in the form of videos and writings. While his precise motive may never be fully understood, the message he left behind was steeped in hate and self-destruction. For the community, however, the focus remained on the victims. The two children who lost their lives had only just begun their school year. Their families, who had walked them to class that morning, were now faced with unimaginable grief. Survivors, many of them still in elementary school, were left to process trauma that will last a lifetime. Teachers and staff, hailed as heroes for their quick actions, struggled with their own sense of loss and helplessness. Across Minneapolis, schools reevaluated security, churches held special services, and parents clutched their children tighter. Nationally, the attack sparked renewed debates about gun violence, mental health, and security in schools and places of worship. Commentators pointed to the disturbing trend of shooters idolizing past killers, warning that Westman's case was yet another example of how violent legacies are perpetuated online. Law enforcement emphasized the importance of monitoring digital footprints, noting that Westman's videos could have served as a warning had they been discovered earlier. In the days that followed, Minneapolis remained in mourning. Vigils were held nightly, drawing thousands of residents who lit candles, sang hymns, and comforted one another. Outside Annunciation Catholic Church, the sound of children's laughter had been replaced by the sobs of grieving families and the silence of a community grappling with loss. Clergy spoke of forgiveness, healing, and resilience, but the weight of tragedy was palpable. Though Robin Westman ended his own life that morning, the consequences of his actions reverberated far beyond the church walls. Two children will never grow up, their futures stolen in an instant. 17 others carry wounds, some visible and some hidden, that may last for decades. Families, teachers, classmates, and an entire city must now confront the aftermath of a day that forever changed their sense of safety. This is the story of the Annunciation Catholic school shooting, a story of innocence destroyed, of a community left searching for answers, and of the haunting reality that even places of worship, places meant for peace, reflection, and prayer, are not immune to the violence of our times. And as we reflect on this tragedy, we remember the children lost, the families broken, and the community that continues to mourn. May their lives never be forgotten. Stories like the Annunciation tragedy remind us how fragile life can be and why these cases should never be forgotten. If you want to stay with us as we uncover more stories like this one, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next case.